Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. Right, well,
Hello.
this morning we are talking all things comfort zones.
Yeah.
So I think we've talked a lot about comfort zones and how important it is to push ourselves out of our comfort zones because at the other side of that discomfort often is where the magic happens.
hmm
So, do you want to start
Yeah.
this morning?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I have to say this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because I think it is just so important. Because ultimately, if we want to make any kind of change in our life, we cannot make a change unless we get out of our comfort zone. And I think we're so resistant to feeling discomfort. I mean, we're resistant to change, but I mean, that's a whole other topic. But we're so resistant to feeling, and this is key, to feeling embarrassed or feeling, that worry of what other people think. And so we just so often stay inside of our comfort zone. But there is no growth, there is no expansion when you stay inside of your comfort zone. And I honestly think that you absolutely have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to improve your life, up level your life, elevate your life. It's just essential. And you and I both know from the last few years in our lives, I mean, we've had to get uncomfortable multiple times. And the thing is, it's just one of those things that you just gotta fucking do it. You just have to do it. There's no like, oh, but okay, I just need, just wait. I just need to get prepared. No, it doesn't work like that. You literally have to make yourself get outside of your comfort zone in order to start changing things in your life and making your life better. And yeah, it's not easy, but guess what? You choose your hard. And when you do the hard things now, like getting outside of your comfort zone, when you just do those things over and over again, you're actually making your life down the line that much easier. It's like choose your hard. Either we can do the really easy things now, we can stay in our comfort zone and do what, be comfortable and stay safe and all the rest of it. But actually, that's going to lead to harder things down the line. Whereas if you do the difficult things now, if you get out of your comfort zone now, you're actually going to make your life easier down the line. But I think it really is just, we have to realize that growth is on the other side of our comfort zone. And again, of course it doesn't feel good because it's uncomfortable, but ultimately it's not going to kill us. And also, the more that it's like a muscle, the more that you train yourself to just do, and you don't have to do anything major initially, you can just do something. You can start with something really small, like maybe you want to reach out to someone by email and you're a bit scared because you're scared that they're not going to reply or you're going to get a no or whatever it is. You can start with something relatively small. Maybe you really feel called to start posting on Instagram, but you're terrified. Fuck me, I've been there. And maybe the first thing you do is you just do a little carousel post, and then maybe you do a reel, and then maybe you talk to the camera, and then maybe you do a live. So it's like, you don't have to do everything immediately. It's just little baby steps. And when you build that muscle of getting out of your comfort zone, it's not that it becomes less uncomfortable. It's just that it becomes easier to sit with that discomfort. But I really, like you said, the magic is on the other side of it. And it's so true, at least in my experience. Everything that I've done over the last few years that has been uncomfortable has led to something good coming from that. Not least the feeling that you get in yourself from just pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Because when you're remaining the same and you're doing the same things and you're not doing anything that scares you or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, then it doesn't actually make you feel very good about yourself. Whereas when you choose to get uncomfortable, you know, your confidence grows, and that's a really good feeling, and that,
Mm.
you know, just leads to lots of great things. So I think it really is something that we have to be willing to do, unless we are genuinely happy to stay exactly
Yeah.
where we are, we don't want any more. But I think most of us, if we get honest with ourselves, most of us, I think, probably want more and know that we're capable of more and aspire to more. But we kind of push those feelings down because we don't want to get uncomfortable, you know?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's about if you want, it's about recognizing in yourself that if you want something more, if you want something to improve, if you want to do something, but there's that little voice inside you going, oh, but that's really scary. No, I don't want to do that. No, I can't do that. I mean, I think what you were saying about sending emails to people you don't know, that's always been something, or making a phone call to
Yeah.
somebody you don't know. That's always something I never really enjoyed doing. And yet, actually, unless you take some of those actions, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Zero.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to happen. So it's about recognizing when you are holding, it's that awareness again. It's about becoming aware. When are you holding yourself back? When are you choosing not to take those actions, which
Yeah.
bring up some of those like really uncomfortable feelings of like, oh no, but what if they say, what if they say no? What if not? What if they think I'm really stupid? It's that fear of rejection often which stops us,
Totally.
and that is what can make you feel really a little bit awkward, and it's not very nice. So actually, what do? We just avoid it and we don't do it, and then zero happens, and that makes you feel really shit about yourself. That's when we just get stuck in that autopilot mode of
Yeah.
just going through the motions, living our lives, not really feeling massively fulfilled. You might do if, as you said, if you're very happy living as you are, then great, and that is amazing, and that you've got to a place which is really satisfying for you. But I think this is when actually you have bigger dreams and you have bigger desires, and it's about recognizing some of those actions, some of those steps that need to be taken, and they do feel uncomfortable. And as human beings, we were designed all those thousands of years ago to try and seek comfort, because when we were out hunting and gathering our food, and there were so many real dangers out there, and you had to protect yourself. In order to retain your energy and to keep safe. So that is why we kind of are primed to kind of steer towards, let's just find the comfortable
Mm.
option, because all those years ago, life was so damn harsh. You were constantly getting uncomfortable. So actually, whenever you could take a little bit of comfort, you were kind of looking for it and seeking it. But today, kind of the tables have turned. Actually, we are so comfortable, more comfortable than we have ever
Yeah.
been. We sleep in really lovely, cozy, warm beds. We have we can order food at the drop of literally at the drop of a button. We can sit on comfortable sofas. We're warm, we're cozy in cold weather. We can cool down when it's hot. We are so damn
Mm.
comfortable. So I think sometimes that makes it even harder now to get uncomfortable to do the things. So we settle, and then
Mm.
we just don't feel good about ourselves.
Mm.
So yes, it's about not terrifying yourself, because then you can actually go the other way. It's not about doing maybe the most extreme thing, because then you're going to put your system in such a state of shock. It's about taking those small little actions, which is about
Yeah.
stretching you. That's the zone of genius, is when you get that stretch. So
Yeah.
it's just like a bit of a balloon. If you think about blowing up, when you blow up a balloon, the more you stretch it, the easier it is to blow up. And then you blow it up, and then it deflates, and it's that little bit stretchier again. Then you
Mm.
blow it up, it's a little bit easier, it gets a little bit bigger. That's what we want, is those the stretch.
Yeah.
And it is about it's just about being brave, having that courage. That courage is what's so important, and just going, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And you feel, that's the thing, the feelings on the other side are totally worth it, because then you prove to yourself you can do it, and
Yeah.
you feel bloody amazing. And then you have that what's the word? You have that proof that you can do it and you
Yeah.
are stronger. So that the next time you want to take that action and it feels a little bit uncomfortable, you've got evidence from when you did it before. So you can do it again and you
Mm.
can go a little bit further. And yeah, I mean, all the things that you and I have done in the last few years, I mean, a lot of it's about being about visibility, getting
Hmm.
visible, but also putting things out into the world,
Yeah.
not knowing if it's going to work. Some of them have failed, and don't get me wrong, some of them have failed. A lot of things have failed and have fallen flat on their face and don't work. And it's just about, and it's still, it's still not, it's still not easy. It's still uncomfortable, and you still have to have that courage. But it's about just
Mm.
keeping going, moving forwards, and over time, you do just you're kind of on an upward trajectory,
Yeah.
and you feel like you are growing and you are expanding, and that I do believe as human beings is how we're designed, and how how what makes us feel that sense of fulfillment.
100%. You know, ultimately, we're meant to feel alive. Like, how many of us actually feel alive, like excited by life? Because we're not fucking meant to come here to just like pay bills, pay our taxes, and die. We're not. We're meant to live. We're meant to feel alive. But we've just been conditioned to think that, oh God, well, this feeling of like, averageness, and yeah, well, I feel okay, but we've we think that that's enough, or we've been sort of conditioned to believe that's enough. But I believe that you said it's about people who have bigger dreams and bigger goals, and I think that we all do. I think
Mm,
every single one of us, when we're honest with ourselves, has bigger dreams and bigger goals. We all have dreams. We just push them aside because we assume that
mm,
they're not possible, and we just pretend that they don't really exist, and we just, we brush them off. We suppress them because we're like, well, that's never going to happen for me, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, for starters, I think that we all have bigger dreams, and in order to reach for them and achieve them and get to that point, you know you absolutely have to do something differently, and that is always going to involve getting uncomfortable. Always. There's no two ways about it.
mm,
There's no way around it. There's no way over it. There's no way under it. You have to just go through it. But it does get easier when you start to do things that make you feel uncomfortable, when you get used to sitting with that discomfort. Like, I think it's getting used to that feeling of feeling uncomfortable. And also, going back to what you were saying about, we all have like lovely beds and blah blah blah, I think this isn't so much necessarily about physical comfort, because like it's great to have physical comforts, it's great to have lovely food, it's great to have a nice home and a comfy bed and all that. I think you and I are talking more about psychological discomfort rather than practical physical discomfort. It's that psychological discomfort. It's that feeling in your body of like, oh God, I'm really like, this is, I don't want to do this. I mean, an example could be, maybe you know that you deserve a pay rise at work, but you're terrified of asking your boss because you don't want to piss them off. You're convinced they're going to say no, and having that conversation terrifies you. I mean, this is quite a good example of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Sending that email to your boss, can we have a chat, have you got 10 minutes, I'd really like to talk to you about something, and going in there and having that conversation that feels so uncomfortable. And also, we have to ask ourselves, like, what is the worst that's going to happen? Am I going to die if I ask my boss for a pay rise and he says no? No, you're not. But you're never going to know that it might have been a yes unless you get uncomfortable. And it could be, speaking of sort of physical things, it could be like, going for that. I mean, this is a physical thing, but it's also a mental thing, like, going for a run. Like, that is, if you're not a runner, it's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. But you know that if you do that, on the other side there's going to be growth. You're going to get fitter. If you want to lose weight, that's going to help, and all the rest of it. And it's just taking the little tiny step, just doing half a mile or walking fast for 30 minutes, and just kind of building it up and gradually getting outside of your comfort zone. But yeah, I think the kind of discomfort that you and I are talking about mainly is that mental, psychological discomfort of doing the things that scare you. Sorry, what were you going to say, love?
Yeah, so I was going to say exactly that is exactly it. It's doing the things, taking the actions which bloody terrify you. But I think there is a physical discomfort in the set. I mean, I'm thinking about exercise as well. If you are picking up a slightly heavier weight, or if you're
Mm,
going for a slightly longer run, or if you are stretching your body a little bit further, or whatever, and that it kind of applies to that in the sense that you've got to again just accept that I'm right. This is going to be a little bit
mm,
harder than I would rather it was, and that can be quite scary. And you stay always with the same weights. You don't want to go to the next level, but actually, again, when you go to the next level, and then you do it. And then the feeling you get on the other side is amazing. It's like, my God, I did it. I can do it. And again, it's just that building of that evidence that you can do it.
yeah,
And that's what fuels you for the next time to go back. And maybe the next time you don't do it, maybe it's, but you can get there. It's building that self-trust in yourself. So I think that exercise is a really good example in terms of that physical. But also, I'm sorry, I'm now thinking about another physical
no, no.
one. But if you go, um, I'm just thinking like going backpacking or going, and taking away your creature comforts and actually getting into nature. That always really surprises me how easy it is to get. We spent years as a family and with my kids going on camping holidays. We'd go on big old road trips to France, to Europe. And honestly, I just love camping because it just strips out all the stuff. And actually, it's just living back at basics. It's just
Mm,
all you're worrying about is what you're going to eat. You're outside in nature. And yes, I always made it really cozy and comfortable. But I love that. And I know it's still, you've still got a level of comfort. But sometimes it's good to remind yourself that we don't need all this stuff which we
yeah.
have to be happy and to have a really, really amazing time. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Totally. Um, I wonder whether we should just maybe give a few examples of when you and I have got out of our comfort
Yeah.
zones, just to sort of. So, let me ask you, Polly. Can you give an example or a couple of examples of times when you've done things that have made you feel really uncomfortable, but there's been a positive payoff, which there
Well, the
generally is.
big Yeah, the biggest one for me was the podcast, without a shadow of a doubt, because for
Yeah.
me, that and honestly, Lucy, it still is. It still is. Although
Yeah.
that for me, when I first started that podcast, was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. Because for me, it's never felt natural to speak up, use my voice. It was always something which absolutely bloody terrified me. And I but I did it. I did it and I'm still doing it. And it still does push me out of my comfort zone
Mm,
on regular occasions. Before I talk to anyone or interview anybody, I still get butterflies.
mm,
But once I'm in it, I'm fine because now I've kind of got used to it. But it still is pushing me all the time.
mm,
But what I love is when I've afterwards it's like, oh, I've done it, and I can now look back at all of these different episodes I've created and all the conversations I've had, and it feels like such an amazing sense of achievement. It's really helped me to find confidence in my voice and speaking out. And yeah, I mean, for me, that has been one of the best things I have ever done.
Yeah,
It really has helped me to grow as a
yeah,
person. So I'd say for me, that has been one of the proudest things I've done. I did have a break last year, um, and I think for me, I needed to do that. But coming back now, and it's not, as well as you know, it's it's a lot of work. But the other thing, which is on the other side of doing it, is all the connections that you make with so many different
yeah,
people. And there's just so many positives to it
totally.
that, yeah, that has been a really big one
Yeah.
for me. What about you?
Yeah.
What's been
Yeah, no,
something?
I would say the same, and but more specifically thinking about like as a particular aspect of podcasting. You mentioned interviews, and as you know, I have a guest every week, and when I first started the podcast, I was absolutely fucking terrified about doing interviews. I was like, I don't know what I literally don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and I did it anyway, and it did feel really uncomfortable. But now I can kind of like if I'm particularly busy, which at the moment I am, I can kind of not like okay, when I first used to interview people, I would do so much research. Like I would be so prepped because I was so terrified. I was like, I have to know everything about this person because, I just felt like I needed to. Whereas these days, if I'm a bit behind, I can confidently spend like half an hour going, oh shit, I haven't researched this person at all. And or maybe an hour, like I can prep it. I know now the best ways for me personally to prep an interview. I can quickly whip up some questions. And also because I've been doing it for so long, my my interviewing skills have improved. I hope I've become much more confident, and now I can pretty much hop on an interview with anyone without knowing very much about them at all, and just be able to have a conversation and just organically ask them questions. And that is because I put myself out of my comfort zone 3.5 years ago, and I've done it again and again and again and again and again, and I've got more and more and more and more comfortable with it. That isn't to say, by the way, that I don't still get nervous. I do. And there are some people, like I've had some guests in particular who for whatever reason I felt really intimidated by. I remember having somebody called Rebecca Traister on, who's an author and a writer, and she's super intelligent. And I was just like so far out of my comfort zone. I was just like, oh my God, this woman is just, who am I to be interviewing this woman? But again, I just kind of did it. You just do it. And it's almost like when you don't give you, and I mean, a podcast is a brilliant example of this, because if you say you're going to start a podcast and you're going to be committed to that, then you kind of don't have a choice. You've just got to show up and do it. You've just got to deal with it. And so I think in many ways it's good to declare when you're going to do something, or tell someone or post about it or whatever, because then you're holding yourself accountable by telling other people, and then you've just got to do it.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's a really good, I mean, for me, as you know, like Instagram lives, oh my God, the first time I did an Instagram live, I did it for about a minute. I was so scared, like so scared. And I did it, for some reason I decided to sit in my car. I don't know why, but I sat in my car, and it took me, and I'm not kidding, it took me about 45 minutes to pluck up the courage to press the live button. And I felt like I was going to vomit. I was just like, oh my God. And it was terrifying, and it was awful. And I did it, I don't know whether it's even still, I think I probably deleted it. I probably didn't share that one, but I was literally on there for a minute, and I kind of went, blah, blah, blah. I can't even remember what the hell I was wanging on about, but it was absolutely terrifying. But then I did it once for 1 minute, and then I did it again. And then obviously you and I decided to do these every week. And now showing up on Instagram live genuinely doesn't faze me. I mean, sometimes when, like, you and I have talked about this, because whoever starts these lives, we see who comes in. So today I've no idea if anyone's even watching, or if they are, who's come in. But that's one of the things that still completely throws me, is if I see someone I know coming into the
Mhm.
live, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, and it really throws me. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good example of something that is it gives you that psychological discomfort, that mental discomfort of like,
Yeah.
oh God,
It's
it just feels so yuck. But then when you do it, you feel proud of yourself, and you have a little bit more confidence, and then you do it again and you have a little bit more confidence,
Exactly. I mean,
you
it's so
know.
interesting, isn't it? Because we both say that when we do anything, so anything I do, whether it's my podcast, whether it's anything on Instagram, whether it's a live presentation or whatever it is, I'm actually generally so much better when I'm with a bunch of people who I
You don't
haven't
know.
got a clue who
Yep.
they are, who I just don't know. It doesn't really bother me
Yeah.
that much anymore. But the moment I've got somebody who I know in who's watching or listening or someone who says to me, "Oh, I was listening to your podcast," who I know, or someone, yeah, as you say, on an Instagram live, and I suddenly see someone's name pop up who I know, then that
Oh,
I feel so uncomfortable.
it's the
It makes me feel
worst.
so awkward, and I don't quite I don't quite know why that is, and I think it's probably because you probably care more about what they may think because they know you better. But that
Mm,
is the most uncomfortable thing. And it's a ridiculous thing because ultimately they're the people who are probably so happy for you and,
mm,
flying your flag and supporting you. But it is still that I find so
yeah.
uncomfortable. And I think just something just going to have to get on with and get over it.
Mm,
The other thing that's, though, talking about things which make me feel uncomfortable, I really did used to find uncomfortable was talking in front of a load of people live. Because when I used to
oh
do
god,
work in
yeah.
PR a million years ago, I was once pulled into this pitch and it was for Coca-Cola, and I was the junior member on this team, and it was like the kind of big wigs in my PR consultancy who were presenting, and they obviously felt they needed someone junior to come and come along with them. So I was pulled in late, so I didn't really know, I hadn't put it together, and I didn't really know what it was all about. But they gave me a bit to present, and oh my God, I just fluffed it so badly because I don't really know what I was talking about. When you suddenly you're talking and then it's like,
Oh
I
god,
really don't know what I'm saying.
the
And I
worst.
then went bright red, really embarrassed. I was like, everyone's looking at me. It was the worst thing. I just literally wanted this floor to swallow me up. I wanted to burst into tears. It was not good. And that just reinforced my fear of public speaking, of doing
Mm,
anything in front of people. So that really set me back
mm,
loads. So even now, I think I'm okay. Like the other day, I did something. I was guiding a live breathwork thing at Brighton Yoga Festival, which was great. It all went really well. It was great, and I'm so comfortable now leading breathwork. But even then, it was when I started talking to the group. I suddenly felt my heart, and I had been breathing to come, but I suddenly got that feeling of like, oh my gosh, my body's kind of showing me that I am still really
yeah.
nervous about these things. And it calmed down. But it was that same feeling of like, what am I saying? What am I saying? But, no, I don't think anyone noticed. So that, again, you just got to get on with it. You just got to do it. And afterwards, when you just carry on through, you just get that real buzz of like, yes,
Mm,
I've done it. And you can do it. And then it's just each time you do it, just feels a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable. It's those neural pathways which we've talked about before. When you're doing anything new, anything a little bit different, it is just creating a very new pathway through in your brain. And the more you do it, that wider that pathway becomes, the wider it becomes. And when it becomes wide and enough, then it just starts to feel easy. It's
mm,
like that traffic can flow through and we feel more comfortable doing it. So that's what we're doing each time. We're stretching ourselves, we're building those neural pathways, they're getting stronger, and it does become so much easier. So, watching you, Lucy, from your first Instagram live to now has just been revelationary. So, you were genuinely
oh my
terrified,
god.
and now you're so comfortable. So, yeah, that's a really good example.
Well, thank you, but also I'm not always that
No, I know.
comfortable, and I do a
Yes, I know.
lot of things. I still do
Yeah.
a lot of things like in my membership, Thrive Solo. Like you know, obviously I'm not like terrified before every live call, but I have to run those calls, and sometimes they go on for an hour and a half, up to 2 hours. It's me who's leading them, and sometimes it's not easy. You've got to keep the conversation going, or you've got to perhaps, someone's been talking for too long and you've got to kind of interrupt and, move on to someone else. And it's a whole freaking thing. And I still, um, still get a bit nervous about that. And also going back to one thing you said about going bright red, the number of times I've just been thinking like, I am just talking such a load of shite right now, and I'll feel myself blush, and then it will kind of, and then you feel even worse because you're like, oh my god, now I've gone bright red and everyone can see that I'm really uncomfortable, this is so awkward, da, da, da. But again, it's just like, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? I cannot tell you how many times I've been on a Thrive Solo live call and I felt like I've said something completely dickish, or if I went back and watched all of those live calls, I would cringe. I mean, it would just be beyond, and I never would for exactly that reason. But the more you do it and the more you just sit with that discomfort and you just go, yes, I went bright red and started sweating profusely, but hey, what's the fucking worst that can happen? Okay, so maybe someone went, oh look, Lucy's gone bright red and she's slightly sweaty. Oh my god, like, what is the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You get through it.
Yeah.
And then and no one gives a shit. And what is the worst that can happen? So yeah, I think, and also I think we have to remind ourselves that anyone who gets anywhere in life, anyone who achieves anything that they want to, all of the successful people that you can think about have failed multiple times. I don't even believe in failure. It's not even a thing. It's just like, everybody gets things wrong. Everybody starts from scratch, and everybody, people who are so professional at what they do and are so brilliant at it, they started from zero. They had to learn.
Yeah.
They had to go through discomfort. They had to go through embarrassment. They had to go through all of these things to get to where they are now. And so I would say also, just, remember the reason you want to do something. Like, if you, like, going back to the conversation with your boss, like, what is your why? Well, your why is that you know that you're worth more than you're being paid. That is your why. So let that carry you through to that conversation. Let that give you the courage that you need, and ask yourself, what is the worst that's going to happen? If he says no, he says no.
Yeah.
And
one last thing is another thing where you can really try and show yourself that you are more capable and you can build that resilience. Things like cold water, turning your shower down to cold at the end of your shower, just for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Again, just those sorts of things can really prove to yourself. It's like, can I do it? Can I get uncomfortable for that little amount of time? And it's actually really good for you as well to do that sort of thing. But you can actually do it just very simply and then go, oh, yes, I can do that. I'm actually more capable than I think. And that just builds your resilience. And that's what we're doing here. We're building resilience for the outside world, because there are tough things which go on. But the more resilient you are because you've got uncomfortable, then the stronger you're going to be and the easier
yeah,
things are going to feel ultimately.
yeah, absolutely. So we're back. We're back tomorrow, aren't we? Because we're getting a couple in the can. Are we back tomorrow or Thursday?
Oh gosh, I need
I
to check my diary. I don't
I
know.
think it's tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
I
Okay.
think it's tomorrow. But I mean, I wrote it in my diary. I think it's either tomorrow or Thursday. I think. And we're definitely doing an extra one this week anyway. God knows what we'll be talking about. But
Okay.
we'll be back.
Cool. Brilliant. All right. Thank you very much,
All right, love.
everybody, for watching. And yeah, we'll be back whenever we're back. Maybe
All right,
tomorrow.
love.
All
Yeah.
right.
Have a
Okay.
good day. Lots of
Thank you.
love.
You too.
Bye, love.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.